regardless of how Mr. Baez feels. So if in fact there is any question in Casey Anthony's mind, the burden is on her to file a motion to recuse the judge. The judge will then determine whether it is legally sufficient and grant it if he believes it's legally sufficient, deny it if he believes that it is not legally sufficient.
I suppose that legally sufficient has a certain definition that lay people like myself wouldn't understand. So I'm going to ask you two questions about that. One is, just as a person, I think to myself, my goodness, if my lawyer faced a complaint from the judge that was hearing my case, I would immediately think there's no way I can get a fair trial from this judge because he's criticized my attorney, so there's no way. But could you educate us on how that isn't necessarily true?
Legal sufficiency has to do with whether or not there is a objective legal basis from the facts that would lead a reasonably prudent person to believe I can't get a fair trial at the hands of this judge. So I would like to be able to reduce it more to the layman's terms, but it is on a case-by-case basis, and it really depends on the underlying facts that are alleged in this complaint.
Okay, so it's not automatic, and it's hard to guess what the ramifications are without knowing exactly what the complaint is.
That's absolutely right. We need to know exactly what the facts are that are alleged in this complaint. But I will tell you this, Casey Anthony should think long and hard before she files a motion to recuse Judge Strickland from this case, because there are a lot of other judges over there that are less tolerant and patient with her attorney than Judge Strickland has been, and I predict will be in the future.
And a lot of talk has come up about the private investigator, Dominic Casey, who seems to be involved somehow in both of these new complaints against Baez. He told investigators, and this is public, we've reported this before, that someone told him not to call 911 if he found the body. Now, he did say that it was not the Anthony family or anyone associated with the Anthony family. So you could guess that the only other possibility was the defense. That's not confirmed on the record, but that who else would tell him that would matter in the case? But he wouldn't say on the record, and they went off the record, and there's some speculation that this complaint somehow has something to do with Dominic Casey being told not to call 911. Now, again, we don't know all the details. I don't know if it was in fact Baez, did he tell him that when Dominic Casey was working for the defense, or after that, or whatever? Could you shed some light, even though it might be surprising to some people, about some people think it's shocking and it's terrible if the defense attorney for Casey Anthony would have told a private investigator not to call 911 if he found the body. But could you educate us about what the rules are concerning that, and how on its face that may not be and probably wouldn't be a violation?
Absolutely. The attorney-client privilege covers all conversations, all investigations conducted by Mr. Baez, as well as any investigator or employee of Mr. Baez. Mr. Baez can certainly not be faulted if he told Investigator Casey that if you discover that child's body, I do not want you to call 911. There is that attorney-client privilege that would even prevent the defense from disclosing that they have in fact discovered that body. Now, you cannot go further than saying, if you find the body, please do not call 911, let us know first. If in fact there was a suggestion that in addition you don't call 911, but that you investigate the crime scene or disturb the crime scene or go on to the crime scene other than just discovering the body and backing away, then you run the risk certainly of a allegation of tampering with a crime scene or possible witness tampering. All information that an attorney gains through the investigation of a case, either directly from their client or indirectly, is covered by the attorney-client privilege. A lawyer is prohibited from disclosing that information, even if the lawyer wanted to, unless the client waives it. That same privilege goes to investigators and employees working for the attorney. It would be as though an example is that your client lets you know where a murder weapon is located. You cannot, in fact, tell authorities, well, I know where the murder weapon is, and lead authorities to it. That is analogous to this situation. If Mr. Baez gained information as to where that child's body was through the course of his representation of Casey Anthony, he is prohibited by the rules of ethics from ever disclosing that information, much less the location of the body, and in fact would lose his license to practice law if he did.